Okay, today I'm with Kylie Smith and her research team from Clemson University. Kylie is a second-year master's student at Clemson University in the lab of Dr. Michael Childress. And with her today we have two undergraduate research assistants that are part of our creative inquiry team. We have Miss Sarah Hoffman and we have Brent Kirk-Royale. And Kylie, tell us a little bit about how you got interested in doing marine biology in the first place.
I got interested when I got certified to dive. I was 15 when I got certified and had my first dive in the ocean, and I was hooked after that.
And how is it that you came to start your graduate studies at Clemson University?
I had family in South Carolina, so I knew if I wanted to study marine biology, I needed to at least get close to the ocean. So I moved here and became a lab tech in the Childress lab, where I came down to the Keys for the first time, working with spiny lobsters, and now I've developed my own project.
And so tell us a little bit about where we're at. What are the people seeing around us right here?
Right now we are in the canal on Long Key. We're heading out to the ocean, so we are surrounded by mangroves back in the canal.
And tell us a little bit about your project.
So I'm looking at the impacts of parrotfish grazing on coral cover in the Keys. We're also looking at how macroalgae affects coral cover through competition. So we came down this past summer and transplanted 84 coral fragments, placed cages around them, and now we're going back out to check on them, make sure the cages are still there.
And so where did you get your corals for this experiment?
We got them from the Florida Keys National Marine Sanctuary. They have a coral nursery off the coast of Key West that they were donated to us. They were collected by Moat Marine Laboratories.
And what species of corals are you working on?
We have two different species. We're working with Siderastrea siderea and Parrotfishes asteroides.
And what do we know about these species? Are they common here in the Florida Keys?
They are common. We know that the Siderastrea siderea coral is the most common. They seem to be pretty hardy, at least in this part of the Keys.
And so how are the reefs doing in the Keys, and what's the importance of this study to understanding what's happening to the reefs in the Keys?
The coral cover here in the Keys has decreased a lot over the past several decades. It's gone from the 40–50% coral cover, and now we're seeing down to 5 and 6% coral cover on the reefs. So we're hoping that we can try and get an understanding of how we can get coral transplants to be successful and determine if we can get the transplants that we've transplanted to actually be successful.
So tell us a little bit more about your work with parrotfish and how you're measuring their impact on corals.
So we have 10 species of parrotfish that we commonly find on the reefs down in the Keys. We know that some of these parrotfish eat coral, and we know some of them eat macroalgae. So we're actually conducting observations of these parrotfish and trying to determine which of these species are eating more coral, more macroalgae, and therefore we can try and determine when we have these species present on the reef, is this going to be better for coral cover? If they feed on the macroalgae, it would decrease the competition that the corals have to face with that macroalgae, and so therefore those parrotfish species, their grazing impacts would benefit coral cover. If you have more of these parrotfish that are showing a preference towards feeding on corals, that's bad for the corals.
I know in other parts of the Caribbean parrotfish numbers have declined a lot. How are the parrotfish numbers here in the Florida Keys?
They're okay here in the Keys. They are pretty abundant. They're not as commonly fished here. They have seen decreases in the size. They don't get as large, the super male species of these parrotfish, their largest phase, they don't get as large as they have historically.
Are there other reef fish or invertebrates that might be playing a role on the macroalgae in corals?
There are. Some of the larger ones can include things like sea turtles. We also have a grazer down here that the sea urchin, the long spine sea urchin. that we, on some reefs, are seeing a possible comeback for those. They are important grazers in decreasing the macroalgae abundance. We also see damselfish, angelfish, a couple triggerfish on the reefs.
So tell us, we're going out today and you're revisiting your sites which you established this summer. What are you expecting to find when we get out on the reef today?
I'm expecting to find all of our cages that we installed in place, absolutely perfect. But we are expecting to find higher abundances of macroalgae. Given the time of year, we do expect that the macroalgae growth has been a lot higher.
Okay, ready in, Brant first, ready in 3, 2, 1, and drop. Good? Yep. Clipboards. What are you ready for?
Big frame.
Big frame.
We'll do that first. It's relatively quick. Got it?
$13 down, 1 to go. Okay, I'm here with Kylie Smith on her final day in the field. And so Kylie, tell me a little bit about how this census went.
It went really well. We had pretty good weather. The wind stayed pretty low to where we could actually get out every day. We had a couple of really long days, but most of the cages were still there, which was great. I was expecting a lot of them to be missing, and they actually seemed to hold up pretty well.
So how did the corals look?
The corals that we transplanted, most of them were alive and healthy looking. Just a few of them, maybe 3 or so out of all 84 that we transplanted, were showing signs of death.
Okay. And how about the parrotfish? What were the parrotfish up to?
They were eating. We got a lot of good footage and a lot of good behavioral observations of the parrotfish.
And so I know that you've been using GoPros to help you collect data on the parrotfish. What sort of things have you been doing to help collect additional information about the parrotfish behavior?
One different thing we did this trip is we went out to one of the cage sites and put GoPros on 3 of the cages so we could monitor what was actually going on in the cages when we were not there. So we left the GoPros on the cages and let them record for about 3 hours. So hopefully we got some good footage. Preliminary viewing of the footage, we found that parrotfish do in fact enter the cages, both the smaller species and some of the larger species.
Great. So what's next? What are your plans going forward from here?
We'll definitely come back in March over spring break and revisit the cages, revisit the sites, and try and increase the number of surveys and the number of observations on the parrotfish, and continue to monitor the cages and the corals.
Very good. Will you be presenting your results anywhere soon?
Yes. Clemson University has an annual symposium known as CBAS for the Biological Sciences Department. We'll have several posters and a talk there. And then we'll also go down to the Bentham Ecology meeting that's in Jacksonville this year and present some posters and possibly a few talks there.
Excellent. Is there anything else that, in terms of your satisfaction with this project, are you excited that this project's finally underway and taking place?
Yes, I'm really excited. I wasn't 100% sure that the cage designs were going to work and that they were going to stay put, and now I'm very confident that they'll still be here in March when we come back.
Great.
Very excited.
Thanks very much.